Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's me. It's Clayton, and I just got back from seeing Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And let's just say, it's a Star Wars movie that's unlike any other Star Wars movie you've ever seen before, for better or for worse. But for the most part, it's for the better. Let's get to the story, shall we? This film stars Felicity Jones as Jyn Erso. Jyn has teams up with a ragtag group of rebels after a traumatic experience that happens in her past, in order to find the Death Star plans and bring them to the Rebel Alliance, in order so the rebellion can stand a chance against the Empire and Darth Vader. So essentially, yeah, this is a prequel to the original Star Wars movie, A New Hope. And there's even tons of cameos thrown in for the film, which I will not spoil because it's best if you see the cameos for yourself. In fact, that's basically what I can say about the whole story. The story itself is best experienced on your own, and I kept it short because honestly, it's best if you find out everything that happens on your own. But the way the story is told really makes it feel like a proper prequel, unlike the Star Wars prequel series, and it happens to wrap up everyone's character arcs very well, but not just for establishing some of our old favorites who we met in the original Star Wars series, but also for introducing these new characters and giving them satisfying characters to follow. Jyn Erso is a very headstrong young woman, and Felicity Jones plays her very well. And her ragtag group of rebels, while maybe not as memorable as the Star Wars characters from the original series or The Force Awakens, they're still fun to watch. Diego Luna plays Cassian Andor, who's very much a fun anti-hero. Donnie Yen plays a blind man who believes in the Force, and he's actually one of the more fun characters. But probably one of my favorite new side characters was Alan Tudyk as K2SO, who's this Imperial droid who makes for some of the funnier moments in the film. But it makes it seem like Alan Tudyk is just playing the role he's been playing for a while, where he appears in almost every Disney movie that's released just to be funny. But hey, if Tudyk can continue playing all these different characters and still keep entertaining the audiences, I say you can put him in as many movies as you want, Disney. Now, the effects in the film are stellar throughout. From the blasters, to the stormtroopers, to the environments, to the giant space battles, the effects really help out with the action. And even though the film is more based on a espionage military thriller, since there's actually not as much action as you'd expect based on the trailers, there actually is a lot more based on the tension and the military espionage element. It was a little disappointing at first, but stick with it and you'll definitely enjoy it, because when the film actually does get to the action sequences, they feel earned, and they really do act as satisfying payoffs to the exposition and the character arcs that are being formed from the scenes that just have dialogue. Plus, whenever I got a tiny bit bored by some of the exposition, there was always a funny moment by K2SO or an interesting character that's added to the group that kept me interested and along for the ride. Now, it is clear that there were some reshoots made for this film, but in my opinion, the reshoots only really changed a couple of things. Certain shots from the trailer aren't in the finished film, and there are some lines from certain characters that are removed and replaced with new ones. But in my opinion, the ones they added weren't necessarily better. They weren't necessarily better lines, but they didn't bother me as much as I thought they would. So the reshoots, in my opinion, don't hurt the film as much as they do for some other films. DC films. But I digress. My only major problem with the film is the fact that, well, I have a couple of problems. So my first is, some characters don't exactly get a lot of time to shine. For example, Forrest Whitaker's Saw Gerrera, who you might remember from Star Wars The Clone Wars, he does make a good performance if you can handle the strange voice that Whitaker gives him, but he's only given a couple of scenes before his character is never seen again. And some characters like Bodhi, played by Riz Ahmed, aren't given enough character development or enough screen time to really get the audience to care about him. Like I said, the main characters like Jyn Erso and Cassian Andor, they are given enough time, and pretty much every character is acted well, but some are clearly given more time and more development than others. Also, a couple of the cameos are made with obvious CGI because the actors who have played these characters are either dead or too old to come back as these characters, and it's really obvious that they're either CGI or stand-ins for those characters. Since they're only cameos, it doesn't really come across as too distracting, but they're definitely noticeable. But overall, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story is a very entertaining film. It's action-packed, it's full of drama, it acts as a satisfying prequel to A New Hope, and the Force is definitely with this film as it has that sense of adventure that Star Wars is known for. So yeah, I think this is Gareth Edwards' best film, and I'm interested to see more Star Wars films that take place in a non-episodic format, because the sky's the limit with the new Star Wars series. So I'm giving this movie an 8.5 out of 10. May the Force be with you.